What is up, everybody? And welcome to yet another live stream. My name's Lewis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, and welcome to the Camera Junkie live stream. If this is your first time here, please make sure to introduce yourself in the chat so that you can get the nice Camera Junkie welcome from the crew. And I will always remind you to upgrade your skills before your gear. And with that being said, today we are going to be talking a little bit about gear. So, buckle yourselves up and to see of the new offerings coming from Sony that will be available this coming Monday in just 2 days from now on the 24th of October. So, with that, before I get into my soliloquy, I want to say what's up to the people in the chat. And right off the bat, we have Kevin saying hello to everyone. That is extra small. Let's see why that's doing that. All right. Okay. I thought the music was a little loud, but then I couldn't hear it at all. So right there should be good. I should trust my settings when it comes to that. Excuse me. I am muted. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I've been speaking without speaking. All right. I don't know what you guys heard, if anything at all. So we're going to start all over again. Welcome to the live stream. First, I wanted to say what's up to the people here. Kevin, who said hello to everyone. We also have Paul Duncan, the master moderator. We also have Randall saying hello to everyone. He's also was one of the first ones to tell me that I had no sound. But I just went on my rant, but we will continue. It says, and then we also have Melanie saying hello. Hey, what's up, everyone? We also have Newton G. Thank you for letting me know, but we got it all fixed now. It says all I hear is music and no talking. Perfect. So now we're caught up. Well, what I was talking about is the two new offerings for Sony, which are the Sony ZV-1F and the Sony FX30. Now, if you've been on the live stream here before, you've also known that I've been waiting for Sony to come out with an APS-C camera or camera body with 10-bit 422 or just 10-bit color, because even 420 would have been just amazing. But they came out with the FX30, which is the 10-bit 422 in the APS-C body, and that is the camera that really is interesting me, or has my interest, better said. But it is $1,800 right off the bat, and if you want it with the extended XLR handle and like XLR connection, it's gonna be like an additional like $500, I believe. So it'll probably be like $2,300. What I was checking out on B&H. Actually, we can check it out right here. So instead of guessing, we can actually find out. Let's see here. It's actually not that bad. It's extra 400. So it goes from 18 to $2,200. So 2198. And but still, like I was saying, that's a substantial amount to invest in a camera body. But it is something that really interests me. What I think I am going to be doing, though, is seeming that it is this Monday. I think I'm going to be picking up the Sony ZV-1F just to kind of work with that camera right off the bat and create some content with it, because that is the one that most people are going to buy. I know I want the FX30, and I guess that's going to be a little bit further in the future. But as of right now, what most people are going to be interested in is this entry level $500 camera from Sony that's going to be very easy to use with like the programs that I use to create this live stream, Ecamm Live. Yeah, you'll be able to connect it one cable, USB-C to USB-C, and use it as a webcam. Good to go. And with the 20 millimeter equivalent, it's going to be a substantial upgrade over any webcam that you would find on any laptop, whether it's 720 or 1080p. Even the newest MacBooks, right? The MacBook Pros with the 1080p cameras cannot compare to the quality that you'll be able to get out of this camera just right off the bat. And the fact that it's a fixed lens and something that's very small in a pancake like form, it's going to be very easy to carry and travel with. So I know that this camera is going to literally sell like hotcakes. Like, it's going to be pretty much impossible to keep on the shelves, and the FX30 is going to be more specific to people like me who want it. So I'm really looking into this the ZV-1F, and I think I'm gonna create some content based around that. What you can do, what you can't do, because there's a lot of things that you can't do with it. But in all sincerity, it's kind of like things that, unless, like I mentioned before, unless you're shooting in 10-bit, really doesn't matter. So it doesn't have like S-Log, but I wouldn't recommend shooting S-Log in 8-bit at all, because even though you're getting a flat profile, you don't have the color depth to actually mess around with color grading. So unless you get the exposure spot on, you're gonna be in trouble, and you're gonna get some really wonky colors if you're trying to color grade on 8-bit footage. That's why I had that entire conversation before about really wanting 10-bit color on an APS-C body, and Sony is complying with this FX30, which is, like I said, I'm really interested in the FX30. I think this is going to be my next real investment. But before I get there, I'm going to be working with the ZV-1F. And I keep looking over here because I have to remind myself of what it's called, because there's so many acronyms, floating around. And especially in the ZV line, this is like the third or fourth one. But I digress. So this camera, I actually have some extra batteries from my older Sony, like RX series that I had. So I'll be able to maximize getting this camera right off the bat, because I have either 2 or 3 spares, which will allow me to use this camera all day, both for video and photography. Now, it doesn't have the multimedia interface shoe, which is what will allow the connection of like a microphone built right in. But the thing is, I really don't have that, the lightweight microphone that connects through that multimedia interface shoe. But I do have my Rode Video Micro, which will be perfect in combination with this to be kind of like a vlogging camera and put it through its paces. So that's really where my mind is set right now. And I think I'm going to take advantage of, like, the new camera wave, and creating some content based around that, and hand in hand with Ecamm, and how simple it's going to be to use this camera with this program. That's where my mind is now. Like, the camera itself is not really like anything out of this world. You're talking about a 20 megapixel sensor. It doesn't even have a shutter, so it's really based for the video aspect side. And it doesn't, like, if you were to try to use it for portraits, it it's going to be working a lot like a mirrorless camera or a iPhone camera, when it comes to that. So the quality bump that you're going to get has to do with the quality of video that you'll be able to capture, and the ease of use and the body style with the flip out screen and the lightweight, because I'm really expecting this to be like nothing when it comes to weight. It's not even an APS-C size sensor. It is a 1-inch sensor, like the other ZV series. And the 20 millimeter focal length, I think, is going to be plenty for anyone who's looking to actually vlog. There are some people who prefer it to be a little bit further than that, or said wider field of view. But this is also extremely light, that with my little handle, I should be able to get it at the length that I want easily, because I'm going to be using it with my, like, tripod. So that's where I think that I'm gonna go when it comes to I think that's the decision that I'm coming to, for the simple reason that I also can come up with the $500 for this camera fairly easily, comparative to the $1,800 that's required for the FX30. That's going to take me a little bit more time to build up, the funds to actually make that purchase. But at least I know that that's going to be the purchase that I'm going to be working towards. Right now, I have the ability to, get my hands on this camera, and it's in pre-order phase right now. So I'm going to have to take advantage of that, just to make sure that I have one set aside for me. If not, I'm probably going to check to see if I just go to like a local Best Buy on Monday and see if they have any of them available that maybe I can just pick up, so that I don't have to wait and get my hands on this device, as soon as possible. Now, the FX30, that's a hell of a machine. Like, that is a machine that is just left me dumbfounded. It left me really impressed with everything that Sony put into it. So if you're thinking about it, if you're on that higher end of the content creation, I don't see another camera that can really stand up to it right now. Like only going full frame in the FX30 or the Sony A7S3, which, you know, it's gonna be a substantial price difference both in body and in the lenses that you're gonna need to use or have for that. The reason why I'm really thinking about the APS-C line is because I have a nice set of, you know, like glass for it, and it's gonna just fall in line for exactly what I need. You know, that taking the next step into the color grading process, which is where I want to, you know, like sharpen my skills. I'm going to need that 10-bit files, which I'm going to be able to get out of the FX30. Now the FX30 has dual card slots, which is just like phenomenal, because what I'm really hoping is that we start getting the new flagship cameras, or the new flagship APS-C cameras, you know, something to replace the A6600 with dual camera or dual memory card slots as well, to really bring it into more of a professional type of, you know, like camera body, like their full size, full frame, better said, full frame camera body. So that's where I'm really hoping that Sony takes the turn. And so far so good. Like, let me just be 100% honest. Like, the thing that we have speculated, right? And it's not like I'm putting in forms or I'm in direct contact with Sony, but it looks like their representative really do a good job to listen to the outcry of the public, and just me doing my live streams and just getting kind of the word out there. It's kind of like the general consensus of creators, and they have a good beat on things. You know, they have like their ear to the ground, and they're able to provide even more than what we asked for. And that's where I'm really excited with the FX30, because it's just gonna 240 frames in 1080. That's super sick slow motion, right? What then it has 120 frames in 4K recorded with audio. That's that's stupid. You know, like that, those specs are just amazing, especially for anything under $2,000. So that, to have that ability, and like I mentioned before, most cinema lenses are designed for Super 35 film, which is the APS-C sensor, meaning that if you have these high-end Cook lenses and, you know, like expensive cinema glass, they are, or basically anamorphic is designed for this sensor size. So knowing that you're going to have that ability, and to get the highest quality like color with the 10-bit 422, awesome file formats, no overheating, APS-C sensor with the Z type battery. So you're gonna get crazy amount of like battery life. If you go externally on this and you rig it up, you'll be able to run that thing for like days. There's just so many advantages, you know, especially for me, for what I'm looking for particular in the FX30. So I know that in my future I'm going to be getting both of these cameras, and maybe all three, because when it comes to my photography, I use the R series of cameras. Excuse me, let me get some water. So yeah, so my photography camera of choice is the Sony A7R2. That's the one that I have currently. But if I were to be getting a camera, it would be in the series, in the R series, for the resolution. Now, they're coming out with the A7R5, which should be announced 2 days after the release of these cameras out into the wild, so to speak. So that will be on the 26th of this month. So that should be on Wednesday, when they will be announcing this new camera, which is, it is rumored and suspected to be the A7R5. If it is, then we're probably going to be talking about all three of those cameras are probably going to be the ones that I'm going to be looking into, because of the simple fact that that's where my workflow sits exactly. So I'm going to be looking into the ZV-1F for my current content creation, as far as like a vlogging and webcam to go alongside with Ecamm. Then I am going to be getting the FX30 for all of my color grading and, like, entrepreneurial or upgrading my skill needs. And then for my photography, I will definitely want to be looking into the R series. Maybe I won't go into the R5, but the simple fact that the new like version or the new model is coming out or being announced just makes the models that I can afford even cheaper, or even, faster for me to afford. So that's what, just looking for the right deal. And talking about deals, I had a deal this week that I could not pass up, and that's my new microphone. I have had pretty much everything upgraded in my setup, but the one thing that I was still, just like working on was getting my really good microphone, and this one just showed up, and brand new in the box, all the bells and whistles, all the foams and everything like that, 0 mileage, and a price that I just couldn't pass up. That if I would have been beating myself up, because not even on a fire sale you can get it this cheap. So I want to thank the person who hooked me up with the deal on OfferUp. I'm always talking about it, boasting about it. This was just one that just popped up, and I was like, nah, this is like too good to be true. So I messaged them, and I was able to meet up with the individual the same day that I messaged them. The reason why I jumped on it so fast is because I didn't want him to change his mind or change the price. So I was able to pick this up like very, very cheap. And that's what I'm looking to do with all of, like the aspects. One other thing that I'm looking to get into as well is upgrading my laptop. Like I had mentioned before, I got the Mac Studio, which is working awesome. I have the Mac Mini, and there are rumors that there's the new Mac Mini M2. So, Paul, I know you're listening to me. The rumors are for next month, supposedly a November event for Apple. Keeping our fingers crossed, but still looking to upgrade my laptop, because, in all sincerity, I tried to use it. It's an old Intel machine, and I just wanted to keep it around for its utilitarianism, so to speak, like the HDMI port and certain things that I have the ability to do with this machine. But after working on M1 silicone, I have to be honest as well that I just cannot work on that i7 machine. It's just like, it's just bad. So I think that the toughest part is that I cannot connect it to my current operating system. So, every time that I want to access it, even if it is real quick, I can't use universal control, which makes all the difference in the world. So I'm going to be looking to get a more updated machine. But like I said before, because I put my investment into my Mac Studio, I'm probably going to be looking into the MacBook Air, right? And just the M1 version, not the new M2 version, because I think I can score a good deal on the older version, which will outpace my current laptop and be really good on battery life. So that's what I'm looking to get myself into next. Um, just making these like slight adjustments to the quality of my workflow and my life in general, just so that I can actually get things, kind of like smoothen out and iron out all the wrinkles, so to speak. So, but I digress with that. I would love to know if you guys have any questions about these cameras that I might not have gone over, because I kind of just glazed over them, kind of just saying of who I see these cameras for, because the Sony ZV-1F, like I said, that thing's gonna sell like hotcakes. I don't see who's not gonna buy it. There's gonna be a bunch of people just walking into Best Buy and just gonna see that it's gonna be the cheapest entry level camera. It's gonna tell them all the things that they want to like see, so to speak, when it comes to like 20 megapixels, when it comes to photos, and that you can connect it and make it a webcam in one shot. You don't need dummy batteries and a bunch of things like that. So we're gonna put it to the test, because I don't see why not, why it wouldn't work out the way that we all expect it to. But at the same time, I think I'm just gonna get my hands on one and see what we do with it. I'm kind of excited about this camera, because I know that I can do so much with the FX30, but I also want to see what I am able to create by giving myself the limitation of this fixed camera lens. Now, I tried to do something like that with People of Video when I was just going to use my iPhone, but if you haven't heard the story, unfortunately, I dropped my iPhone and the cameras stopped working the way that they should, so that kind of forced me on another path to document in a different way for the remainder of the trip. But that was something that I was trying to do, to kind of create a limitation but make it an ease of use type of scenario, where I was just going to use a phone dedicated for that, to be both my photography camera and my video camera for my trip. But like I said, it didn't work out. And let's see if you guys have any questions here in chat. Go back to the chat to see what's going on here. Okay, so Melanie's saying, oh wait, new vlogging camera. Yeah, that's the one that we're talking about. Still have my eyes on the FX30, but not have yet pulled the trigger, says Kevin. Yeah, the FX30, it's exactly what I was asking for. So it would be very hypocritical of me to not say that I'm gonna purchase this camera. Right, I've been really itching to buy a new camera. I've been holding off and doing a couple of things, but certain things just popped up that I couldn't like wait, so I had to pull the trigger on this. And so I'm just putting those things in paces and making sure that I have everything correct before I pull the trigger on the FX30. But I know definitely that this is going to be a camera that I'm going to have in my hands sooner or later. And Kevin is pointing me in the right direction, says Best Buy has it too. See? Melanie says, I love B&H. Yeah, I love B&H too, but seeming that they're coming out on Monday and I'm probably going to be getting the ZV-1F, I'm probably going to see if I can just pick it up at Best Buy. And Kevin's over here saying, I love my ZV-1 with the Rode Video Micro. Yeah, that's like the perfect combination. I have the Rode Video Micro already, in my possession, so it's not like I would have to invest in it. And the ZV-1F doesn't have the the multi-interface shoe, so you would need to get an external type of microphone to level up the audio from the one that's built in. Now, it supposedly has that 3 capsule microphone, which is also very interesting, because I've never tested out any of the cameras that had that or how that sounds with the onboard microphone, but I will be putting that to the test as well. Just very, like I said, I'm kind of like excited about the limitations of not having the ability to switch lenses at my leisure. So it's kind of like putting a lot of what I've already invested in away and being like, nope, you're not gonna touch that. But streaming everything like that, I will be utilizing it, but then it's something that I probably can end up using as my overhead camera or something like that very easily, and then take that with me and leave my A7R in the bag, which would be kind of ideal, you know. That's kind of like the most difficult camera to set up through the setup here. So that's kind of like where I would just leave that. I would probably just leave that in the bag, and now that one will replace it as my overhead camera and anything else that I would want to use it as well. This is not the most sexy by specs, but will be nice setting up for someone just getting into video. Exactly. And that's kind of like the people that I'm helping out with Ecamm, right? And I know that a lot of people that are using Ecamm are going to be looking into this camera specifically because it's going to be the easiest thing. So it's going to have what everybody wants, which is the Sony autofocus, so that they don't have to worry about like whether they are or aren't in focus. And the other thing is just going to have the two, like, or the one cable setup. So the fact that you'll be able to just set up one cable into any of your computers and have a like a baller webcam, right? Like something that's going to be really nice and something that's dedicated for it, because even though you can use your phone as a webcam, you kind of have to do it like I had done it before, which was you have to have like a spare iPhone to work specifically as a camera and remove all of the other apps. Because if it's your everyday phone, you know, if it's what you're going to be using to communicate, to message people via text, email, so on and so forth, then you can't be utilizing that to be your video and photography camera at the same time. You can grab a snapshot here and there, but if you're trying to use it as like, you know, content creation or documenting, you know, your environment or your experience, you're going to need to have something that's dedicated. And if it is a phone, you have to dedicate that phone for that purpose, because if not, it's just going to be a hot mess, whether it's both the data, like the footage that you're going to be recording, is going to be mixed in with your own personal stuff, and it's going to be like too difficult to separate, or that you're going to try to be recording something in a vital moment when you're going to get a phone call that's going to like kill the recording or something like that, or just throw the entire aspect off. And if it's, you know, sound sensitive, having your you know ringer go off in the middle of a recording as well is not ideal. So that's where I really think that this camera is gonna really sell very, very well. And there's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna buy it without knowing what it is. But that's also who I'm gonna be ending up helping a lot. You know, a lot of people who just bought it because it was the cheapest and the newest camera. And now I'm gonna make sure that they get the most out of it, because being the Sony ecosystem, it's gonna be a good camera for a lot of people, like you said, who are just starting out in video. Newton says, I have the ZV-1 with the Crane M2 gimbal and the Ulanzi wide angle lens, and I love it. See, that's really dope. But you see, I think that the wide angle lens, right, on the ZV-1 with the Ulanzi setup gives like the same field of view as this one does right now. That's why it's very interesting. You get a lot more versatility and a much better camera overall with the ZV-1, but it's also, I believe, like $300 more, and with that setup, maybe like four. So you're probably talking about like a from a $500 to maybe like a $900 setup, and that's even with the crane. But we're not talking about the crane. We're just talking about the camera and the Ulanzi wide angle adapter. But like I said, it's a Sony camera and you're going to get good quality out of it. So the same sensor that's in that camera is the one that's effectively in this new one. Hey, Gretchen, how are you? Thank you for stopping by. Excuse me. Kevin says, do spill the beans. How much of a discount did you get on this SM7B? Dude, I got it for $250. That was the price. Brand new in the box. I got it here. I broke the seal on it just to test it when I went to go purchase it. That's how, like, brand new. Like, I was the one who was like, okay. Made sure I brought my Zoom PodTrack P4, and just to make sure that everything was on point, you know, because the one bad thing is that when you buy it like this, there's no real like returns, right? Like if anything were to go wrong, I'm kind of stuck with it. The one thing that I always take the risk on these things is because I made my own microphone. So worst case scenario, if something were to go wrong, which they rarely do with Shure microphones, that I would be able to like kind of mix it up, so to speak, get my hands dirty and try to see if I can do something before I would have to escalate it. But with that being said, it was $250, and I was like, just no way that I could pass up on that. Like, you can go to, what is it, Sweetwater, you can go to a bunch of deals, Amazon, fire sales, Black Friday, and you can't get it for $250. And then it's just like, you know, Cash App 250 flat. So that is the price that I got on this microphone, and I was just like, I just couldn't pass up on it. And that's basically why I had said, like, okay, exactly what I'm gonna do, because I was thinking that I was gonna be like, you know, investing in the FX30, but at the same time, the announcement of the FX or the ZV-1F kind of changed my mind on that aspect when it came to it, because of the two things. It allows me to get other things like this with the funds that I have currently, and I'm actually able to get my hands on that camera a lot sooner than the FX30. So it still gives me something to work towards, but right now I'm gonna like do my best and get my hands on the ZV-1F. Okay, so November 15th is the date that Paul heard. We're talking about the Apple event there. Yeah. That's going to be very interesting to see what it is. It says base M2 Air has been unreal portable machine for me. No, I actually worked with Doc Rock's M2 like machine, and it was an amazing experience. I was able to edit the podcast on it while my Mac Mini was giving me problems before we were able to fix it, and that was just a whole nother situation that had to do with like my user accounts and having to remove or delete the cache. So doing that was able to recover like my Final Cut Pro that was crashing every time I tried to listen or play back anything on the timeline. So that was a very interesting problem that just happened to have happened when I was on the road over there in Amesbury, Massachusetts. And luckily that I had Doc Rock, you know, someone who used to work for Apple, to just easily help me, guide me through it, and just be able to just knock that out. I'm talking about that. I should make a video about that experience as well, because I bet you I'm not the only one who's dealt with that with Final Cut Pro. So I should put that together as a piece of content. I need to speak to Doc Rock again to see exactly what steps we went through, right, to actually get that done. Kevin also says that the 3 capsule mic is better than most camera mics, but still isn't an on-camera mic. And that didn't pop up. That's what he said. Okay. BZ. How are you doing? Says, damn, that sounds great. It does, doesn't it? Right? Like, this is the whole thing. I was able to test one out in the time that I was in Amesbury over there, and I heard the live streams that I did with it, and I was like, it's like, even like you said, you just hear it and you're like, oh man, you're right. It just sounds so good and you don't have to do any work to it. So the fact that this thing is, it is so quiet. It is so quiet. It is stupid quiet and so good that the air conditioning is on. And when I stay quiet, there's like no noise floor. And that is just basic, just connected to the Rodecaster Pro 2 and set up with the little, like preset for the SM7B. And I haven't done anything, nothing else. Just sounds great. So I'm really happy, and if I don't know if you heard, I got an amazing deal. I got it for $250. So I was just like, I cannot pass that up. I couldn't. Like, I know that I was like, I would just be so mad at myself, right? Anytime that I would have paid anything more than that. So I was like, oh God, okay, I gotta go grab this. But now I no longer have to be like looking for a microphone. And the fact that I was able to get the Rodecaster Pro 2, like through Ecamm. So that wasn't an expense that I actually took on myself. I wanted to just, complement it because everything else I'm pretty much set. So this was literally like the cherry on top, like okay. And you couldn't start with the cherry, so to speak, right? It had to be the final thing. So it is like kind of like the final piece. One thing that I'm probably going to still upgrade is my microphone arm. I don't know if I'm going to go low profile or how I'm going to switch things up, but that is neither here nor there. That's not really a piece of equipment because I have Rode mic stands over here that I can put right on my desk. I can switch it up completely. But at the end of the day, I have the microphone that I'm pretty much going to be using for many, many years to come. All right, Tony is in the house. How you doing, sir? It says, if money is no problem, which would you choose? The A7S3, the A7 IV, or the FX30? If money wasn't a problem, I would honestly tell you, and just to throw another camera in the mix, right? The FX3, I would probably be getting the Sony A7S3 because I would get all the benefits that I would get video wise from the FX30, but I would also be getting that amazing like 9 point something million dot EVF. And even though it's a 12 megapixel camera, I would still use the hell out of it for photography because it still has a physical shutter on it. And one of my first, like Canon my first full frame camera, Canon digital. So let me rewind that. My first digital full frame Canon camera was the 5D, the classic, and that was a 12 megapixel. And I still look at the files off of photos that I shot off of that camera, and I'm like, this thing is just amazing. And that's the same thing. Now, if you're looking to crop heavily and expect to get the extra detail, you won't get it. But it's still, as a photographer, I would pride myself in knowing that I'll be able to use the 12 megapixels to its maximum and be able to utilize that one as a photography camera just as much as the video features. So the one camera that still, I'm saying all of this, right? Because that's what I said. The price point on the ZV-1F is probably it's probably why I'm going to grab the camera. In all sincerity, it is why I'm going to grab the camera because it's kind of like a no-brainer, kind of like the deal on the microphone. It'll just like kind of be stupid not to. Now, I want the FX30, but by the time that I accumulate the funds to acquire it, this new camera is going to be coming out, the Sony A7R5. Now, what features is that going to have on top of the photography aspect? What video features? And one of the things that that I've mentioned here before that I'm not the biggest fan of is the articulating LCD or the flippy screen, right? I really prefer my flip up screen that I get on my A6100s. And what is rumored that there's a new like 4-angle LCD on this Sony A7R5. So I really want to see what Sony is coming out with as far as their new articulation for their LCDs and what they're going to be coming out with in the future, because even though this is a photography based camera, it's probably going to have a lot of the same features. And if it also has, 10-bit and S-Log, then that's what I'm really looking for. The one thing that is like that's what we were talking about, money not being an option. So with that still being on the table, money not being an option, it'll probably be the A7S3, or out of that bunch, A7S3, A7 IV, FX30, and FX3. I will still pick the A7S3 for the features that I can use, especially the EVF. So I can continue rambling on, but I'll continue. And with that, I'm gonna just mention this. If you haven't done so already, please do so. Hit that like button. It goes a long way and it's highly appreciated. It says for live streaming. Oh, I just saw that part. Yeah, I was still good the A7S3. Because like I said, you're gonna get all of the video capabilities out of it, including the full size HDMI. So that with a cage, pretty much the FX30 with the EVF, or the FX3, so to speak. So you get all the benefits. The FX30 is very interesting because it's also a 26 megapixels. So it's going to be like that 6K or 7K sensor that's going to be like oversampled. So I really want to see what comes out of it. But what's another thing that I haven't done, which I'll let you guys hold me accountable to this, which is something that I can do that I haven't really done, which is rent these cameras. I can rent them and see exactly how they work out beforehand, so that is an option and something that I should look into, especially while I'm saving up to get my hands on my next purchase, and then to see which one is the one that I missed the most. That's actually a really good idea. I should really do that, right? Because, for example, in the time that I spent with Doc Rock, he let me use this Tamron 28-75 f2.8 lens, and just because I was borrowing that lens, I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just hold on to it and just use it on my camera. One thing right off the bat that made a huge difference compared to my 24-70, which was not only the increase in stops, but the overall weight. Like, that Tamron was like so light that it was a breeze to carry on my camera body, and it really got me thinking. I'm like, this is a lens that I'm probably gonna pick up. So it left an impression on me enough to have me like miss using that lens, and I was like, oh man, yeah, I wish I had that again, because I got really good images and it was very easy to use. So that combination, and then being a really good price comparative to like the G Master series, I'm like, I really think I'm gonna pick up that lens as well. So doing that with the rentals to see which camera I end up missing the most, right, from the rentals, and be like, you know what, this is the camera that like inspires me to create the most content, and maybe invest into that over everything else. So might be onto something. Kevin says, by the time I attach my wide angle lens to my ZV-1, I almost prefer to grab my ZV-E10 with the wide lens and not all that different in size, weight wise. That's very interesting that you say that. So it's basically saying that, you know, by the time that you adapt the ZV-1 and get it, you kind of just prefer to grab like the kit lens on the 16 millimeter wide on the ZV-E10, and there's not that much difference in size and weight, which is a very good point, man. That's actually very interesting. And you see, that goes to like the use case scenario and how you actually use that. She's saying that's an amazing deal. Congrats on that. I know, man. That's what I said. Like the conversation actually went like this. The guy was selling it for $275. And at that price, that's still such a good price, right? But I was still able to like walk away. And I was like, you know what? But then I was like, if you can let it for 250, like I'd be beating myself up, you know, to try to get a better deal than that. So that's what he said. He's like, okay, if you come to me tonight, I'll let it go for 250. And I was like, oh crap. All right, so this is happening. And now I have my microphone. And like I said, sounds great. I'm super happy. The grin is evident, right? I'm super happy with my microphone, and now I don't have to bargain hunt for anything like this anymore. I have the microphone that I want, and if anything, I can still, you know, I still have the power to, as you can see, make microphones if I needed a just in case. Which I'm gonna make a comparison now. I was gonna try to do it when I was in Amesbury, but now, or Plum Island, better said, I am gonna make the comparison of this microphone in the flat profile to the capsule, you know, microphone that I created on my, you know, by myself, to see how close they really do sound, or if they're just completely way off. Kevin has a question. He says, "Are you still using Crisp?" Yes. And no. Wait, what's going on? Hold on. Yeah, it has to be working. Okay, so I do have Crisp working and I do have it on. What's going on? It is working. It is working. I'm not gonna say it's not. But it's giving me like a little red X mark, like it's saying like it's not working. Well, I think there's an update available. No, we'll wait. We'll wait to install updates later. As of right now, everything's working fine. But yes, on Ecamm, I am using my Crisp microphone, and yeah, that's definitely it's working. I just wanted to make sure. I know that this thing sounds very low by itself, but Aiden is over here making noise and everything like that, so it's actually pretty good. Oh man, I didn't even look to this side to see that my moderators were telling me that I was muted. But anyways, we continue. Hold on. I have downed that water bottle. All right. Let's show that thumbs up some attention, folks. Highly appreciate you, Gretchen. Sounds like gotta build the Sunday before the cherry. Exactly, right? So you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like when I say that, like I put all the other pieces, like there was nothing else left to upgrade except my microphone. And like I always say, upgrade your skills before your gear. But it just got to the point that was just a cherry on top when it came to the gear. That's just what was missing. Tony's giving me the thumbs up as well. Jared's saying, "What's up? How you doing, sir? Thanks for stopping by." Says, "If money were no object, I would have a Hasselblad X2D 100C. That is such a beautiful camera. I will not fault you at all. There's, you know, I also follow Tony and Chelsea Northrup, and they actually put a video out recently about that camera, which is very interesting because there's a lot of cameras that we take out in public And because they're just such commonplace, they're kind of like, they don't really draw attention, even though it's a big, fancy camera. But that Hasselblad, no man, that thing, it just, even people who have no idea, they just look at it and they're just like, what is that? Because it's just so refined, so it's a beautiful camera. Like, it's a, you guys haven't seen it, I would tell you to just look it up. Beautiful, beautiful piece of technology. And it's like, it's almost like a shame to use it because it's so nice. But I agree, that is such an amazing machine. If money was no object, that probably would be something that would be in the arsenal. That's why I said I'm a camera junkie. It's not just one camera or one camera brand. It's like there's so many. It's like telling a car enthusiast that because he buys Ferrari, he cannot buy a Porsche. It's very stupid, right? So that's just the way that I see it. That's why I have no problems with Nikon, with Sony, with Canon, with Fuji, with any of the manufacturers. If you're coming out with a dope piece of tech and equipment, I'm going to be all over it. Richard says renting is a great idea. Says, I've gone that route several times before purchasing. Actually, something that I haven't done and I should. Kevin says, straight up, the ZV-1 is a very portable, pocketable, but with the wide angle lens, it loses a lot of its portability. Very interesting. K-Walk is here in the house saying, hey peeps, just left a live from Philly stream. Which one's that one? Live from Philly stream. Well, I'm not sure which that one is, but thank you for stopping by and hanging out with us. Albert just stopped by as well, saying hello to the crew. Well, we're getting to the hour, and with that being said, we've reached the bottom of the chat, which should bring up the next segment, which is Cities Gall, channels that I think you should go and watch. And this week's version of Cities Gall is, let's come over here. Oh, where's my mouse? You can lose your mouse, fairly easy when you have a couple of computers and 4 monitors on universal control. Just saying. That's not it. There we go. I had a bunch of other windows open in the background. All right, spam windows. Oh, we got rid of those. All right, and this is, for those of you who don't know, Miss Diana Gladney. I've mentioned her plenty of times here on this stream, and now I am featuring her on the Cities Gall channels that I think you should go and watch. She's got her channel, as you can see, it says Video Simplified. It is based around simplifying the content creation or the video content creation, but she also helps out with, as you can see, a lot of the cameras, and she's also a Sony shooter. So if you're interested in learning even a little bit more or a different angle or a different take on these same cameras, I would highly recommend you check out Miss Diana Gladney's channel over here. She's just about to reach 19,000 subscribers, inching closer and closer to 20K. So give her the big congratulations. And if you haven't, you might be the one to help her reach these milestones. I highly recommend you check out her channel. And if you haven't, you can see she's got some shorts here as well, right? I would also tell you to check out her TikTok. For those of you who actually utilize TikTok, her TikToks are hilarious. I find them hilarious, but I'm a camera nerd. So if you're anything like me, I highly recommend you check that out as well, because she has a lot of funny skits when it comes to like exactly what we do, and a lot of funny skits on cameras themselves, whether it's the ZV-E10, the ZV-1, Canon M50, so on and so forth. It's just a lot of fun, and I highly recommend that if you're, like I said, anything like me. But if you're looking to, like I said, learn more about the content creation, simplify your production, or learn more about these cameras, as you can see, A7 IV, FX30, she's got the kind of the same information like the FX30 recap. This one, 7 mistakes to avoid before upgrading your camera. Like I said, if you haven't checked it out already, I highly recommend you check out Miss Diana Gladney. You'd be glad that you did, and tell her that I sent you, because she's a good friend and an amazing content creator. If you ever get the chance to also meet her in person, you will get to know like how dope she really is. But at least through the channel, you get a little piece of what she can help you out with and what she can provide. So this week's City's Got is Miss Diana Gladney. Channels that I think you should go and watch. Boom. And there we go. Now I'm going to go ahead once again and check the chat here to see if anything else has come up. Okay, Keith, India, and Kirk Nugent were all hanging out at Keith's. Oh man, well, I bringing that up, I actually had the privilege to spend quite some time with Keith at his home. Super cool guy. So I bet you that stream was lit. I'm probably gonna have to catch the replay on that to see exactly what went down there. But yeah, Keith is just super dope. His entire family. I got to meet Tina and both of his sons. Just super cool. I can speak for hours on my experience and my road trip from POV to the leap into podcasting, to the on-site like photo shoot and video shoot that we did, to my travels back down, because I stopped in Philadelphia, hung out with Keith. I was then able to I actually was also able to stop and hang out and get a coffee with Miss Felicia. And then I stopped once again and hung out with my friend Chris, which I need to talking about that. Look at this. I've just been so busy all week. He sent me a voice text and I told him, bro, I don't know when I'll be able to listen to it because of how busy I am. Because text messages work so much better because I'm able to read them no matter what. I don't know if you're like me, let me know, if you're anything like me or completely different, but just because it wasn't text and I wasn't able to listen to it, I never got back to actually listening to his voice messages. So something else that I had to do. But anyways, we'll rewind that. I was able to hang out with him on my way back down. So those were like my 3 stops on the way back down. But what I've also realized is that when it comes to the road trips, to actually plan out these days, you have to do them with at least a couple of days in advance. So learning that next time that I do anything like this, I'm going to be planning out my course ahead of time so that I could take advantage of, meeting as many people of, Camera Junkie crew, the LGL, the Ecamm fam, all the people, that I am in connection with along the way. And I just see a bunch of road trips in my future. Like I have so much fun and I really enjoy the experience. Like I said, take the time to slow down and travel and smell the roses. So this is something that I having a new found love for, and something that that I know for a fact I'm gonna be doing a lot more of. There's a lot of people who take cross country trips along like on their motorcycles. Even like they're like, oh, we're gonna do Route 66 across the country on our motorcycles, and they planned the whole thing out. I'm gonna be doing it more in a maybe like a SUV slash RV type of scenario. Excuse me, something like that for the future. So that's what I'm gonna be looking into. So okay, so we have Kafu Productions. Hopefully I said that correct. Kafu or Kafu. Welcome. Thank you for stopping by and saying what's up. Randall saying I love her videos. We're talking about Miss D. Says, wow, yes, I was watching her channel today. Dan is a pro. Thank you, Liz, for sharing super information. Well, thank you for stopping by. I always appreciate all of the members of the Camera Junkie crew. But with that being said, guys, we have done it. We have completed another episode of the Camera Junkie live stream. Now, this was episode 99, and I was gonna kind of make it like it was like this big hype up to 100, but I kind of wanted to just keep it as like normal before I kind of switch things up. So this is kind of like the last time. I'm not even sure what I'm going to be doing with my overlays and things like that. I think I'm going to take a step back with the production, and I think I'm going to try to simplify a couple of things. Maybe just make like a static, border, switch things up to maybe just even change my whole color profile, of what I'm going to be using in the background. Make it maybe a little bit more uniform or more, I'm not even sure, but it's going to be a work in progress, and there's going to be some changes to come. I'm excited for everything because going back a couple of years ago, I would have never thought that we would be 1 month away from 2 years, because that's also what episode 100 is. Episode 100 is just 4 episodes away from episode 104, which is 2 years of your live stream consecutive without missing a beat. We had the roughest times in the last month or so, you understand? And that was just hotel and internet issues. But with that, I am really excited for next week's 100 and then 104 when we get to, really celebrate 2 years of the Camera Junkie live stream. Like, I would have never thought 2 years ago that I'd be where I'm at right now. And I'm super grateful for everyone and everything. And I'm thankful for all of you hanging out with me week in and week out. But that is it for this week. That is it for episode number 91. Episode 100, which it sounds like crazy. Episode 100. 100 episodes consecutive of the Camera Junkie live stream next week. I can't wait, and I can't wait to see all of your smiling faces here to help me celebrate it. But with that being said, everyone, have an amazing week. Take care of yourselves and each other, okay? And I can't wait to see you all here doing it all over again for episode 100. Same spot, same place. Camera Junkie live stream, 11 p.m. Eastern every Saturday night. And we'll see where we go from there. So I can't wait to see you next week. And everyone, have a great, great night. See you then.